if you don't know, let us help you know. Victoria's Secret's fashion show is back. And baby,
Mm-hmm.
let me just play a little snippet from the show, from the whole Victoria's Secret show before we get into everything, okay?
Yeah.
Talking that street talk. You're the heart and soul of New York City. You should know the score by now. You're a native New Yorker.
I love that she started the clip with the end.
Okay, because let me just say, now when I saw, like, I've never been a fan of the Victoria's Secret fashion show. Like, it's just something I've never been into. Like, I've never even liked watching the Fenty one. Like, it's just not some, when you're just not into something, like, I'm not about to pretend or fake it.
Mm-hmm.
So when I saw like that this was trending on Twitter, I go to see and I see that Tyra Banks showed out. And if you really know her history, at one point she was the only Black Victoria's Secret model to walk in any of their shows, right? At one point, because they couldn't, I'm assuming they couldn't afford Naomi, but that's just another tea for another day. So when I saw this, I was like, oh, cool. Like, I was indifferent. Like, I was like, oh, that's cool. Then I saw like the comments and I see people talking and they're like, oh, like it's her coming for people who were plus size and look at her now. And also some people were like, I feel like it was on like a teetering scale. Some people were like for it and some people weren't.
Mm-hmm.
Now me, I felt in the middle. I really didn't care, to be honest, right? But as I started going through the comments, as you start seeing things, you do come up with your own opinion.
Right.
And personally, I feel like I love the body. Don't get me wrong. Her body, like as a plus size girl, anytime I see a little thickums, I'll be like, yes, girl, go ahead. Ah! Like regardless of history or anything like that, the girl had the meat on the bones and it was bouncing when she was walking. Okay. The walk was a little weird it was a little shaky. Like it looked like her feet was about to give out, low key. Like if you really look at the feet, they was like wobbling, right? And then also I can't really talk too much because I can't even wear heels for a long period of time and I barely could walk in them. But as people who can't walk in them, I could tell you what it looked like to have a shaky ankle, and that's what it was giving.
When they look uncomfortable,
right? It don't look right. And then the hair was giving. It needed a little bit of water. It looked dry. It looked crunchy. It looked like, yeah. Like, girl, it needed to be a little silky silk, like spray a spray bottle or something. Like, or she could have did her traditional Tyra Banks hair, the brown, like, with the blonde highlights, do what we know you for. But like, Sheyla, what was your thoughts?
So first of all, I think we should take a little bit of step back and understand why Victoria's Secret, right? The Victoria's Secret fashion show even ended, right? Because I believe it's been a few years since the show was live. And the reason why it was shut down, I'm pretty sure, correct us in the comments, it was shut down because of the lack of inclusivity, right? There was only white, skinny people. Right.
And also the viewership was going down after a while too.
Yeah. But also it was like, skinny people and lingerie. And it was just like, well, thick people also wear lingerie. Like it isn't something that only skinny people wear. Right. So it could have also, in addition to that, could have been the viewership. Right. So now they're back and they were more inclusive. Yes. But I'm just like Ashley Graham, who is considered in the modeling world. She's considered to be like a thicker model, right? And she posted on Instagram her photos of her on the runway. She was a part of the Victoria's Secret fashion show. And she wrote how she was hesitant to accept this role because, for a long time, she was never represented, right? And it was kind of like, is this even a place where I can be in, you know what I'm saying? Because for the longest time, they never were inclusive, right? So she said that she was hesitant, but she was, I guess, happy that she did it because she did look bomb. But that goes to like their long history of not including people. Yes, they came back, they're more inclusive. And now Tyra Banks was like the shebang of it all, right? If you don't know, you've probably been living under a rock, but she was very well known for America's Next Top Model, right? Like that was her show. And everyone has always been coming for her because of how mean she was throughout the show, right? With her viral moments of like, you need this, or you need to do this, and you need to change this, ripping papers, you know? And do you have the clip where what she said, how she felt when she was on the...
Oh yeah, on the this is gonna be on a future episode that comes out like next week, I believe. But this is what I'll play.
You feel good in this look because when I saw you, I just thought, I know you know how to work it, but I felt coming from you like this true joy, true feeling it, true feeling good about yourself, true living in the moment and really present. Is any of that apt or correct?
You are just hitting every single cylinder right now. Every single cylinder.
I wonder if that's why this moment has blown up so much, because it is so authentic and real, and it's just, it's emanating and resonating with this feeling. I feel like there's a visual, but there's an energy to it.
Because you know what, Drew, when I was walking, and I was talking to my man about it, who's backstage somewhere.
Really?
Yes, he's backstage. I was saying, I was walking, and normally I would walk for myself. Like when I was a model, I was walking for myself, and I retired almost 20 years ago. But when I was walking on the Victoria's Secret runway this time, I felt like everybody was inside of me. 50-year-old women, insecure women, I just felt like there was more. And so I look at the playback and I'm like, boom, boom, boom. I'm like stomping because I felt like I was a vessel more so than it's just all about me. It was different. And also what was different is my boobies were like 10 times bigger because I was about 40, 50 pounds heavier on this runway than when I retired. So I was like, God, don't fall out. Don't fall out.
So this is what she had to say. And I do think the older we get wiser. We understand that not everything is based on a body, looks. Skinny people, thick people, chubby people, all body types deserve love, deserve to be represented, deserve to wear lingerie. But I also understand that at the time, that was what it was, right? Like skinny people were the it thing. I think now we are more accepting. And also, every reality show has that, right? Like Simon Cowell, is that how you pronounce his name? He's known to be the mean person. Like if you are a nice person, your show will most likely not be a hit. So it was kind of like, that was the way things went back then. I'm sure now she's older and she is more accepting because she kind of has no other, you don't have another, what's the word? Not right, but you are thicker now, right? You are older, so you have to learn how to love yourself. And I guess it's better that she realizes this now. I don't know if many people feel like she was walking for them, but if that makes her feel happier, then I guess I'm glad she thinks that.
It kind of brings us to like this grander conversation when we talk about like representation, right? Yeah. So like for me, whenever so I'll use the Victoria's Secret fashion show as an example. I never watched it because I wasn't into it. I don't think that if there was more plus size people on the runway or walking or anything like that, that I would be more interested. It's something that just doesn't interest me. Like, I feel like for me, not a lot of people feel like this, but I feel like for me, because I can only speak for me, I'm not really big on I need to see representation in everything that I do. I need to see people who fit me in everything that I do. I feel like, yes, representation is important when it's genuine or when it's it's natural, Yeah. I feel like a lot of times we try to force feed people to see themselves into these like certain spaces and stuff like that. But like sometimes it's just not necessary. Like it's not like people are going, like there are people who do have those biases and are going to actively go out of their way to not represent certain people. But sometimes it just didn't happen, or it doesn't happen.
So here's how I feel about that. I think representation does matter. And I also feel like I get what you mean by like, we don't want forced representation, right? It's the same thing when it's Black History Month and it's like just a color pattern, right? Or when it's like Hispanic Heritage Month is like the same Gasolina song. Not intentional. You're just doing it to reach that representation goal. You're not doing it because you actually care. But I think companies should, invest in it, right? Like it's necessary. And when you do it, you should actually hire people that can lead that charge the right way, right? When it's a person that is not of the culture leading the representation charge, it's just never going to end well, right? And for you and for me too, I'm not into fashion shows like that, right? Like that's just not my thing. It's not my strong suit. But I'm sure if there's, a little Black girl, a little Latina girl who is very into fashion and they do turn on to see it, they're like, oh my God, I've never, like, can I do this? I don't see people that look like me doing it. And it may discourage them, right? Like we grew up with Wendy Williams, right? So you saw someone that not only was Black, was very outspoken and was from Jersey. So I'm not saying you probably wouldn't have followed your path, but when you saw someone like that, you had someone to aim towards, does that make sense? Like, oh, look at her. Yeah. She kind of looks like me. So I feel like I can also do it.
Right. I agree. And I don't want people to think like, oh, Rebecca just thinks that representation doesn't matter. Like, that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying like so for example, right, when Rihanna came out with Fenty Beauty, the whole makeup world was like, what? Because she came out with all different shades from fair to dark, right?
Yeah.
So then these people see that like, oh my God, like you see how popular it is. You see how she's like building this clientele because we were not basically acclimated or had products for those group of people. We got to catch up. We got to play catch up. We got to do this now. And it's like, that's disingenuous. You never wanted to create anything that was focused or geared to the people that you were purposely excluding. Yeah. So now all of a sudden that you doing this, like you got all these different shades and stuff like that. Like, oh my God, we're with the times. No, like I'm a firm believer. If you did not want to do it, don't do it. If you're missing out on that clientele or that whole like group, that's your business. You didn't want that. You don't have to force it down my throat. Like for Lululemon, right? Lululemon has said, like the CEO of the company has said things in the past where he talks about he doesn't want certain people wearing his stuff.
Really?
Girl, when I go on TikTok, I be seeing all these Black girls talk about oh my God, go get this Lululemon set. Like, and the man clearly has said he don't want you in the stuff, but y'all buying it. It's giving goofy.
But I get what you're saying. It shouldn't be forced. But I think that's why we need people of color in leadership positions, right? Because sometimes, there's only but so much they can do. Like, I think we have to kind of, I don't want to say force feed them, but when we're in the room and we have to be in leadership positions, because just because you're working for the network, the brand, the corporation, you ain't moving nothing unless you're up here. So that's honestly, I never knew that about Lululemon. And if that is true, I don't like that. I mean, I can't even afford that. I'm not paying $100 for no leggings when I could just go to Marshalls and get me probably like 10 leggings for the same amount of price. So it's your own though.
Also, just wanted to reel this back to what we were originally talking about for Tyra Banks. I saw this one comment that I'm remembering now that's basically said like, oh, this is her karma. Like she used to bash people for being plus size and now look at her. And it's just like,
no.
Y'all got to also acknowledge the times, like what Sheyla was saying earlier. When America's Next Top Model came out, the fashion industry was completely different.
Cutthroat, honey.
Cutthroat. And it's like you did not see anybody bigger than a size 2 walking down the runway, right? Yeah. So it's like when you're training people or trying to be a coach to people or try to help them understand the industry that they are going in, you got to tell them what's currently happening, unfortunately. So it's like people want to sit there and be like, oh, this is her karma, this is that, this, da, da, da. It was the time, unfortunately. Like, and that's not an excuse or anything like that, but that is the reason.
The whole point of the show was you wanted to succeed in the modeling industry. And at that time, the modeling industry required you to be a 000, tall and skinny. Like, that's just what it was. So of course, if her whole show was based on making people succeed. So that's what she did.
And that's not to discount like what all the
it was wrong. But I do want to mention, I think as a society, we also need to get our minds off of thinking that if you're not a size 0, that you're not beautiful. I think we still lack that. Like, for people to think like, oh, it's her karma. To me, I kind of see it like it's a karma to be chubby, because she's not even like big for real. She's big. Old woman, or is she 50? I don't know. She's older.
Yeah,
like,
she's
50. It's our bodies. Like, we need, especially for women, our society has us like, that's how depression, you know what I'm saying? That's how people get into depression and body dysmorphia and like eating disorders, because society tells us all the time that if you're not a size 0, then you're not beautiful. You don't deserve to live. Like, that's just weird to me. Like, yes, I'm not saying that what she did was right, but for you to sit here now and like, I don't know. Let's move on.
Also, I just want to say, when you are looking at like different brands and stuff like that, and let's say you are seeking representation, I'm a firm believer, like growing up as someone who's always been plus size, I was my own representation. Like, if you want to be represented, put it on you. Represent yourself. Do you. Like, you can't seek what you want to see from other people. You got to seek it within yourself.
Yes, Rebecca, but you are a very confident person, and not everybody is built with that.
But confidence comes from within, not seeing others.
Right. But you have that gene. Not everybody has it. You should just be thanking God. Because there's people that are size 0 and are just always like not.
But, Sheyla, for example, when I have friends who don't have as much confidence as me, I get that. But like, whenever they're like, oh, do you think I look fat? I'm like, if you think you look fat, take it off. I'm not about to say, like, you have to see that you don't think that you look that way. Like,
Rebecca's not the friend that you reach out to when you're not feeling good.
But my thing is, I remind you to like, you don't need my validation. Like, if I like have an opinion on something, okay. But it's like, Sheyla could tell me she don't like a dress on me, and I'ma still wear it.
Yes, but what you're not getting through your head is that you were, when God was making you, he put 100% in confidence. For some people, and I will put myself into that category, until like I actually like started going to the gym and working on myself, I didn't even wear shorts for the summer. Like, it wasn't until my sister came from DR and she's like, muchacha, like, it's summertime. What are you doing with these jeans on? Whatever. Like, it takes time, and like, some of us have to work for confidence. You were just born with it, which is amazing.
But that doesn't mean, like, yes, I am confident. And when I think of the definition of confidence, I think of embracing all things that people could deem as negative, what you could deem as negative, what you could see that you want to change about yourself, or what others feel like you should change about yourself, and just embracing it. Because at the end of the day, yes, if you want to change something, go and do that. If you want to go to the gym, go to the gym to change your body. If you want to do this, go and do that. But it's like, regardless of it, you're going to walk in that skin that you have regardless. So embrace it, live in it, be that.
Yes, it's okay. We're going to agree to disagree. To you, it seems like a foreign concept to have to work towards that.
I'm not saying that you don't have to work towards it, but I'm saying that people just have to like accept it.
But the accepting part, that's where we're colliding. The accepting part isn't as easy. For you, you were just born with that acceptance. That's like, whatever. Let's just move on. Go confidence.
Woo! We will definitely have to disagree to disagree.